Most often, the biggest problem learners generally face in reading is that they fail to get the relevant context in various texts. They know the information, but they respond to a question or a thought in their head rather than what is being asked. The thing is, they haven't been trained to respond and think. They have been trained to consume information. They have been trained to seek or find evidence when prompted. And they have been trained to respond to the hint in bolds or highlighted in the text they are given. Now more than ever, with so many texts and information out there to sift through online and in classroom, they need to be trained to be responsive readers and responsible thinkers who find ways to make use of the information they are given.
I agree. That is why, as future educators, we must learn how to develop our future students to become responsive readers, especially in this 21st century education, which requires various knowledge and skills that are relevant to life.
Indeed, but the big question is, how can we develop our students becoming responsive readers?
Is it through promoting independent learning?
Is it to read text silently or aloud?
Or is it to implement various teaching strategies?
Well, you will find out about those things as we go through this video. But first, let us find out what it means to develop responsive readers.
Developing responsive readers refers to the process of cultivating readers who is actively engaged with and comprehend written materials. As responsive readers, they must engage with various texts, making connections, asking questions, and reflecting on what they read. And to develop responsive readers, teachers must plan and implement different strategies and practices aimed at fostering reading skills and critical thinking skills, promoting comprehension and analysis of the content, and making personal connections with what learners read.
Realize that giving students a choice of what they read and the time to do it are no longer enough.
Teach students to be responsive readers by asking them what they think and feel about what they read instead of simply asking them to become scavenger hunters who seek to find answers to reading check questions.
Help them see the difference between making assumptions versus coming to credible conclusions by teaching them to see what is actually presented in the text versus what they bring to the text based on their personal experiences, opinions, and biases.
And help them to identify what information is trustworthy and what is not, so they don't believe in everything they read without questioning its source and or content. These tips are going to create more engaged and critical readers, but also more responsible and deeper thinkers.
And one of the instructional approaches that must be present in the classroom is guided reading. And of course, you'd ask me what guided reading is. Don't worry, we've got you. Good afternoon and happy Friday. This is Juliet Marie Muanya.
This is Rhea Magdayo.
And welcome to TENG News, serving you the latest news around the globe. For the headlines, 21st century experts in education express their thoughts and ideas about guided reading.
Teachers in Manga Elementary School practice guided reading in their respective classrooms.
Parents and students express the importance of guided reading in this 21st century education.
That is for the headlines. News with details will be shared after a short commercial break. Stay tuned!
The Pencil's Tale. Once upon a time, an old pencil maker took his newest pencil aside just before he was about to pack him into a box. Imagining the little fellow as a person, he recalled a few things about the pencil. "There are 5 things you need to know," he said to his pencil. "Before I send you out into the world, always remember these 5 things, never forget them, and you will become the best pencil you can be. The first thing is to remember that you will be able to do many great things, but only if you put yourself in someone else's hands. From time to time, you will experience a painful sharpening, but remember that this will make you a better pencil. Also, keep in mind that you will be able to correct any mistakes you might make along the way. And the most important part of you is what's on the inside. And remember this as well. Upon every surface that you are used, you must leave your mark. No matter what else happens, you must continue to write." It seemed the pencil listened to him and promised he would remember these 5 things so that he could live his life with heart and purpose. You see, in life, in your life, put yourself in someone else's hand. Embrace challenges for growth. Learn from mistakes. Value inner qualities. And leave a positive mark on the world. And you too can become the best pencil there is. This was The Pencil's Tale, and this is Dare to Do Motivation. Thank you so much for watching, and stay blessed.
The 21st century experts in education express their thoughts and ideas about guided reading. For further details, we have our reporter Jasmine Taray from the Bohol Division Office, Tagbilaran City.
Yes, hello Juliet. I am here at Bohol Deped Office, Legal Chatudray, Tagbilaran City, to hear the thoughts of the Deped experts regarding to the guided reading. It seems that we have different thoughts of guided reading. Let's hear from Miss Antoinette first.
Well, guided reading is instructional practice or approach where teachers support a small group of students to read text independently. In this practice, the teacher sets students together who are reading at a similar developmental level, assigning the same text to all members of this small group. In each of the guided reading or small instructional groups, the students read the text silently or quietly to themselves. Then, the teachers guide a discussion of the text, addressing its meaning of other aspects through exercises targeted to the student areas of weakness or strength.
Yes, guided reading is grouping students into small groups and letting them read text silently. How about the idea of Miss Riza?
Yes, guided reading can be done by that. But for me, guided reading is an instructional strategy that can help students improve a variety of reading skills, including fluency. In doing this, a teacher reads a passage aloud, modeling fluent reading. Then, students will read the text quietly on their own, sometimes several times. The text should be at the student's independent reading level. Next, the students read aloud and then read the same passage. Usually, reading the same text 4 times is sufficient.
Thank you, ma'am. So according to them, guided reading can be done through letting students silently read the text or letting them read it aloud. Despite the differences in their ways, they still need a common good of developing readers to be fluent and to know how to comprehend. This is Jasmine from the whole division office. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Jess. Moving to our next news. Teachers in Manga Elementary School use guided reading in their classrooms. For further details, we have our reporter live from Manga Elementary School. Mary Joy?
Thank you, Rhea. I am here at Manga Elementary School to ask some teachers about their implementation of guided reading.
Well, in implementing guided reading, assessing my students' instructional level is the very first thing that I consider. I make small groups in class wherein my students will be able to learn more about reading with the same level of text. Of course, after choosing and introducing the text that aligns with their learning needs or developmental levels, I make interactions with my students before letting them read the text. I can ask them their ideas and encourage them in making predictions with the text that I introduced. Introducing unfamiliar vocabulary or language found in the text is also a must in order for my students not to be confused when they encounter such words or languages as they read. Then, when they are already reading the text quietly on their own, it is my time for listening into them individually and making observations with their individual behaviors. Well, to keep track, I create records for me to identify the strategies they're trying to have in helping them read and comprehend the text. Of course, I'd never forget to assist them as they pave their way towards comprehending what they're reading. Then, right after they read, it is their time to shine. That means I allow them to share their ideas and opinions with regards to the text they have read. I let them give their insights about the character, setting, and the theme, giving them chances to express what they feel about the text. I also allow them to answer questions raised by their classmates as long as they can. I can also let them give the summary of the text or a story that I gave them.
In implementing this guided reading approach, my ways slightly differ with Ma'am Alexia. But just like what she said, I also assess my students' instructional levels, which will give me ideas on how I form them into a smaller groups according to their levels of reading. Unlike the guided reading practice she introduced, I let my students read the text aloud. As their guide, I give them support for the entire reading process. There are times that I assign the whole class to read aloud the entire text. Yet, most of the times, I assign specific group of students to read specific parts of the text that I have given. There are also times that the students with lower reading or instructional levels are separated from those having higher level through giving them activities, which differ from each other. When I practice guided reading for the lower reading level students, I give independent literacy activities for the other group that don't need much teacher support.
Thank you, teachers. What a good way of developing responsive readers. Now, let us hear the thought of their school head with regards to their implementation of guided reading.
Well, guided reading is an essential part of any early literacy program. Others may discourage this practice because this can lead students to compare themselves to others, especially those students who belong to groups having lower reading level. Yet I believe that the teachers here in our school have been continuously making their ways to prevent learners and parents think of that way. Instead, they allow students to think of this as a motivation for them to improve themselves, especially their reading abilities. Overall, we are doing our best to achieve our goal in this kind of practice, and that is to allow students discover their abilities.
Wow! Guided reading approach truly creates an impact, especially on young learners. Once again, I am Mary Joy, reporting from Manga Elementary School. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Mary Joy. Moving on to our final news. Parents and students in Bohol Wisdom School have seen the importance of guided reading in this 21st century education. For further details, we have our reporter, Jasmine Taray. Jas?
Yes, hello. I am here at Calgon Elementary School, and here with me are the students at the school.
Hello there!
Hello, can you share with us how you enjoy your session with your teachers?
Oh yes, our reading class is amazing. I really love how our teacher taught us to read.
Ever since the start of our reading session with Teacher Jones, especially the stories she allows us to read, I have so many favorites.
Yes. At first, I find reading tiring since I end up falling asleep. Yet now that we're also within our groups, I now enjoy reading stories with them and our teacher.
Even at home, I also want to read. I often borrow books from my teachers and bring them home. I love to read at home since my mom prepares snacks for me.
Oh, speaking of snacks, I am already hungry. Can we go already?
Alright, thank you students.
Bye-bye!
Here with me is the parent of the students earlier. Ma'am, do you think that guided reading practice help your child?
Yes, I believe that guided reading practice has brought a positive impact on my child. A year ago, my child was struggling to read, especially long syllable words. Yet now that the school has practiced guided reading, my child's reading abilities and comprehensions have improved. I also observed that she learned to love reading, especially at home. I enjoy the things she often tells me about what they did in their classroom, especially in the reading session.
Thank you, ma'am. So that's for the students and parents' views about the importance of guided reading. Once again, I'm Justine Taray, back to the studio.
Thank you, Jas. And that's it for today. For further information, you can check our website at www.teng.com. Once again, this is Juliet Marie Muanya.
And this is Rhea Magdayo. To God be the glory. Till next time.
There you have it. I told you guided reading has more to offer. We can tell you more about it.
Guided reading helps students develop greater control over the reading process through the development of reading strategies which assist decoding and constructing reading. The teacher guides or scaffolds their students as they read, talk, and think their way through the text.
Guided reading is a powerful and efficient way to differentiate and meet the specific needs of your children. It gives children a chance to problem solve and learn in a safe environment and gives you a chance to build a rapport with children. Guided reading is a time to teach a skill that a group of children need to move forward in reading. It is an opportunity for children to learn in a more comfortable, supportive setting with peers who are in need of the same skill. This time, allow us to tell you about the 5 essential elements used in guided reading. Watch this!
Guided reading has 5 essential elements. These 5 elements are used in guided reading practice. The 5 essential elements are phonemic awareness, phonics skills, fluency in reading, vocabulary building, and text comprehension. Let us start knowing how these 5 elements are used and developed in guided reading.
Let us start with the first 2 elements which relate with each other, phonemic awareness and phonics. Guided reading allows students to use and develop their phonemic awareness, or their understanding that words are made up of smaller units of sound, and their knowledge of phonics, or that small units of sound directly relate to individual or small groupings of letters within the context of reading. This helps young children use more advanced ways of learning new words. Learning a new word involves forming a connection between visual information about the word as it appears in print and its meaning, pronunciation, and other information that is stored in the child's oral vocabulary.
For the third essential element, we have fluency in reading. Guided reading allows for explicit instruction in fluency. The chosen text is matched to a child's reading ability so that the student can confidently read most of the text. Where there are unknown words, the student is able to use recently acquired or current knowledge of phonics and phonemes to work out the sound of the word. By understanding the surrounding text, the student is then able to put the words in its context and gather meaning from its place within the larger text. Remember that the markers of fluency are not just reading fast. On the contrary, it is more about the markers of reading that demonstrate understanding, such as pausing, phrasing, intonation, word stress, and rate.
Next, we have the fourth essential element, vocabulary building. Guided reading provides daily opportunities to expand vocabulary through reading, conversation, and explicit instruction. This includes children with a wide range of abilities, including children with more limited vocabularies. Much vocabulary is required by reading a wide variety of texts, and reading stories is one of the most powerful means to expand vocabulary.
Lastly, we have the 5th essential element, text comprehension. In order to efficiently read and understand text, readers need exposure to a wide variety of texts. Text comprehension relates both to understanding of the context of a text as well as in understanding what kind of text they are reading. Readers must learn how to adjust to the different types of text they read, and the only way that they are going to learn how to accommodate a variety of text is by actually reading a wide variety of texts.
That's all for guided reading. Now you know. This time, let us know another way to help students develop and become responsive readers. To know it, let's watch and be inspired with the story of a teacher.
I once dreamed of becoming a teacher because I always looked up to them, and I loved doing things they did in school. My name is Juliet Marie Moania, and I have worked as an elementary school teacher for 10 years. My desire to teach children to appreciate reading and writing extended beyond my love of words. I wanted them to learn how to think critically and logically, as well as how to learn and love reading and writing. Before I can fully teach my students on how to think critically, I help them first build new learnings from their prior knowledge. And to effectively build new learnings, first I create a positive learning environment.
Okay, good morning, class. Good morning, teacher. How's your day? Fine.
This means fostering a positive and supportive atmosphere where students feel comfortable exploring and taking
Now, who has an
risks.
idea on what is ecosystem? Yes, anyone from the class? Okay, class, you don't have to be afraid of voicing out your answers. You don't have to be ashamed if your answer is wrong because that is your own idea and we can learn through as we go on to our lesson. Okay? Now, again, who has an idea on what is ecosystem? Yes, Riza.
It is a community of organisms and their environment, teacher.
Very good. Let's clap our hands for Riza. That's right, class. We should voice our answers or our ideas for us to let anybody know what is your idea about certain things. Understood?
Yes, teacher.
Second is using a variety of methods. This can be done by incorporating different teaching strategies such as visual aids, hands-on activities, and interactive discussion to cater different learning styles. Third is build on prior knowledge.
Have you seen
For
a fun
this step,
class?
I connect new
Yes,
information to what students already know to create a strong foundation for learning.
Me, teacher.
Wow, very good. I guess everybody has seen a pond, right?
Yes.
Okay, now what can you see in the pond? Yes, Ria.
I can see a fish, a frog, and a water lily in the pond, teacher.
Very good. Let's clap our hands for Ria class. In the pond, we can see a fish, frog, water lilies, and many more. So what is a pond? A pond is considered as an ecosystem, a self-contained and interconnected system where living organisms, their physical environment, and their interactions coexist and influence each other.
Fourth is
So
encourage
I have
reading
here
and
a book
literacy.
class. This book is all about ecosystem. Now all you have to do is to read this one, and after that I will be asking you some questions.
Reading is necessary
okay?
for learning, so instilling a love of reading at an early age is the key that unlocks the door to
Okay,
lifelong
now
learning.
take time to read those books.
Yes, teacher.
Now, what is the title of the book? Yes, Antoinette, a tree is a home. Wow, very good. That's great. So the title of the book is all about a tree is a home.
Lastly, provide constructive feedback. With this, I aimed at achieving a positive outcome by providing my students with comments, advice, or suggestions that are useful for their work or their future.
And especially on these days. I see a lot of improvements in your writing and I'm proud of the effort you've put in. Let's continue to explore and learn about the wonderful world of ecosystem.
Once again, I am Juliet Marie Moania, an elementary school teacher. I am looking forward to seeing you become one of us. Thank you and God bless.
Well, that's it. From the previous video, Teacher Juliet was able to show her ways on how to build on students' early learning. Indeed, there are lots of ways, but what truly is to build on students' early learning? Let's find out!
Early learning is designed for preschool students with tools and content that reinforce early childhood curriculum via short videos, read aloud stories, printable activities, and matching and tracing games among others.
And to build on our students' early learning is also a way to enhance their learning, including their prior skills and knowledge. It is to help them learn more things based on what they already know. It is like adding new blocks to a tower they have started, making their knowledge and skills stronger and taller over time.
Some of the ways that are shown in the video presentation are to create a positive environment for learners. Then the use of variety of strategies. Next is to build on prior knowledge. Then fourth is to encourage reading and literacy to students. Lastly is to provide constructive feedback. But there are more ways than those mentioned. Let's start knowing it.
Another way is to reinforce basics. This is to ensure a strong grasp of fundamental concepts to learners. Or it can be to use real-life examples. This is to provide texts which they can relate with their lives and get relevant lessons from it. Also, to have a regular review, this is to reinforce previous learning periodically for retention.
And of course, promote critical thinking. This is to encourage learners to think thoroughly in between contexts of text they are given and give explanation to relevant concepts.
Lastly, to provide hands-on activities. These include practical, interactive learning experiences.
I guess that would be all.